The figure is now just about complete. With added his equipment and made a bit of a strap out of Tamiya tape, just connect to the gas mask canister holder. Still got to attach the MG, which I'll do when it's been mounted. I've also lightly weathered it, or him. For this I just used the AK pencils, the sepia and the dirt pencil, thinned down and speckled on. I'll show you that technique when we do the base, just to tie it all together. But yeah. So with these dragging kits, they come with these nice little plinth or bases. So what I've done is taped it off, and just a bit of polystyrene, just an offcut. I'm just going to glue that into this corner, and then using the Environment Terrains products from AK, I'm going to use that to create the earth. And I've also got from Vallejo their sort of weathering pastes as well, which is mud and grass and crushed grass. So I'm going to use them as well on there. I'm going to say make it look like it's damp and a dirty environment. So what we'll do is take a bit of glue first off. Alright, got my spatula, and what we'll do is we'll just place this in one of the corners. Get a bit of white glue. Spread that on there. Okay. And we'll just stick that down in that corner. So that's all lined up. So that's done. Put some, as you can see, I've put the paper down because this can be a bit of a messy job. So trying to keep the table clean. Right, we're going to let that go off and set, and then when we come back we'll start adding the earth textures. The polystyrene's now pretty much gone off, so what we're going to do is add the earth texture. Okay, so quite a few different variants of this, colours, textures, whatever, they do quite a few. So quick stir up, this stuff does dry pretty quick, so what I'm going to do is put some down on your base. And then just slowly build it up to the levels you want. If it spills out over the edge, you can always sort that out after it's dry. icing the cake. And there you have it, quick as that. So I'm going to let that dry again, and then we'll come back and see what we've got. Again, this stuff, when it is completely dry, completely over paintable. So if you're not happy with the colours that are provided straight out of the pots, you can paint it over. Loads of different applications for this. Good for doing mud textures on armour vehicles as well, but I think it's mainly obviously created for diorama bases, as you can see from the pictures on the side. So like I say, we can let that dry. It doesn't take too long to dry, actually. It's got quite a quick drying time, and then we'll come back and see what we've got. So with the initial ground coat going off, what we're going to do now is just start adding textures. So what I have here is the crushed grass from below, which I showed earlier. Basically just going to take a little bit of it and just start adding it into some sections of the base. I don't want to cover it all. All it's going to do is add texture. We're going to cover this after as well. I'm going to put some more static grass on, rocks and stones. So what we're going to do is just add it. It looks a bit odd at the minute, but once it's dry you'll see the effect, and we're probably just going to be painting over some of this anyway. Alright, so that'll do for that. Like I said, we're just adding textures and layers at the minute. So come back, I'm going to add some stones, a few little rocks, stones in certain places, and then what we're going to have to do when this is, I won't say fully cured, but pretty much like 90% cured, is we're going to take our fella and just place him where we want him to go, and then the groundwork will stick him in place. I reckon it's going to go somewhere like that, just on an angle. So what I'm adding now is some leaf mulch, I suppose, crushed up leaves, bits of twig, branches, root. Again, just to add a bit of texture, a bit of realism to the scene. So we can take advantage of why this ground base is still a bit wet. Just sprinkle it on and tap it off. So there you go. That can be pushed in so it looks more in part of the groundwork, or more part of the groundwork, should I say. There we go. once he's attached on camera, once he's attached on there, that's going to look pretty cool. So and next up we have got some seagrass balls. So again, I'm going to take one of those. So I'm going to take a clump of the seagrass, which is easier said than done. Alright, so there we go. I'll get the scissors, trim it down. So I've got here a bit of white glue. Dab it in the white glue and then place it where we want it. Go. Go. Alright. Lost the dude. It wasn't supposed to happen. So there you go, there's the base of the groundwork. I'm going to let it fully cure now, leave him in place, put it to one side overnight, and then what we'll come back is we'll touch anything in, do a bit of painting, touch the stones in that I put in, obviously because they're black, put them to a proper stone colour, and perhaps have a look at some of the other elements as well if it needs colour. And it should dry pretty flat, and I want to add a few wet effects just to show that the soil is damp. add his MG42, and then we'll call it finished. So we're coming to the final parts of this project. It's now firmly attached to the base that we've now finished. So the final few parts that we are going to do is with the weathering pencils. Now I have done a little bit on his knees and backside and stuff, but what I'll do is I'll show you what I did just to show you how the effects works. We've got the Dirt Marks pencil set, and I've also got a sepia pencil set. Okay, a little bit of water. What we're going to do is really the speckling technique, which just involves really some thin down paint, a paintbrush, a soft paintbrush, and something to flick it with, like so. So you're just going to get random effects of dirt. So I'll just move him out of the way and the stand. Try to put a piece of kitchen roll down because this is can be a little bit messy. Okay. Alright. Just get back out of touch because that's gone in a bit. So what we're going to do is concentrate the dirt down the bottom, over his boots, bottom of his trousers, knees, places where it generally just builds up. So we will use, we've got the earth brown, which is a nice colour for this. Streaking dirt, I think the others might be a bit light, so yeah, yeah. So the others are the lighter colours, so they go rain marked, concrete and buff, depending on what you're working on. So put them back. So my technique for this is, we'll take the earth brown. Alright, just take the brush, dampen the brush, obviously in some water, as you would, and then just load some on the end of the paintbrush. Alright, and just dab some of the excess off just to soak up the water, and then just a little test. Like so. Can't really see that, it's a bit light, but you know. I'll just zoom in. I'll just zoom in, move him maybe up a smidge. There we go. So, just do it down the bottom, hopefully this will show up on camera. Alright, so we'll just splatter a bit randomly around the knees, so the bottom of his trousers and on his boots. You can also, if you want, just do it over the groundwork as well. Gives a nice effect. Okay, so you can see. So the trick is then, let this dry, which doesn't take long, obviously being sort of a watercolour. Clean the brush. Alright, we'll damp that clean with a nice clean brush. Keep the brush damp. You don't want it soaking, obviously soaking wet. Keep that damp, and then any spots you are not happy with when it's dry, you can just go in, as you would with enamels and oils, and just clean them up with damp water, so there's no smell, no toxic stuff or anything like that. It's a very clean and actually quite a nice way of doing it. I really am getting into these weathering pencils. I think they've got a lot of uses that's probably not been tapped into yet, to be fair. And again, coinciding with other weathering techniques that are out there at the minute. I think they're a good tool to have in the toolbox. So you can see we've got a big blob there, just on his knee. So again, just lightly dab, just to gently blend it in. And like anything regarding the oil paints, like I said when we were painting the figure, it does go on very stark to begin with, but then obviously once the water's evaporated and it started to dry, and you give it an hour to 24 hours, it will fade back. So it definitely will not be as say stark as it was when you first put it on. I'm just going to lightly blend this in again with pretty much a dry brush. You don't want to just take off what you've already just put on. Just sort of. This also works really well for armour. Again, if you're in an environment where you can't use, smelly products, then I would seriously look into these weathering pencils, because they really have got a good use in the hobby. So, I've just blended them in with whatever other effects are on there. So, as you can see, it's the backside, the back of his knees, bottom of his, ankles and his boots. Again, that's probably where he's going to pick up more dirt. Probably bottom of his jacket, wherever, Just use references to where you would elbows, people lean, sit down, wherever. So. There we go. So it's time to wrap this build up now. It's all finished. As we can see, everything's attached. All his equipment. And again, I'm pretty pleased with him, to be honest. I think he's come out alright. So a lot of things I've learned, obviously. Never done the camo before. I've really never done a 1/16 figure. So again, just a bit of thought processing what I was doing, where I was going with it is in there. Again, nice little base that goes with it. Just a conclusion with these dragon figures, yes, they are styrene, they're not resin, you're not going to get the resin detail, but to be honest with you, a bit of care and attention, and clean up your seam lines, usual things with general modelling, and I don't think they turn out too bad, especially for the price. So I just want to say thank you for everybody for watching, tuning in, sticking with this. It has been a bit of a long process, this one. Hopefully the next video series will be a lot faster, and yeah, tune in for the next one. See you later, bye bye.